7 million years of human evolution led to a crowded planet. Yet today, only one single human species remains. 40,000 years ago, multiple distinct types of humans walked this very earth, sharing the same landscapes, building fires, and raising their children. How did a world once bustling with diverse human species suddenly shrink to a world of exactly one? Was our survival a result of sheer, brutal elimination, or did we simply outcompete our own cosmic siblings in a desperate race against a changing world? The answer is a dark, gripping tale of prehistoric drama, hidden betrayals, and ancient mysteries that science is only now beginning to uncover. Step back in time to an ancient forest 40,000 years ago. The air carries a bitter, deep freeze that seeps directly into your bones. Your muscles ache. Hunger gnaws at your stomach, and your feet are bruised from miles of walking. Just beyond the tree line, a group of stocky, broad-faced figures silently tracks your every move. They are not wild predators like wolves or bears. They are people, but they are not quite like you. They were settled here long before your ancestors ever arrived. They thrived for millennia before modern humans brought advanced tools, complex stories, and a relentless drive to expand across every continent. Today, every single one of those ancient beings is completely gone. Only your lineage, Homo sapiens, stands as the ultimate survivor on this planet. Understanding why this happened is one of the most profound questions in the history of life on Earth. We did not just replace a single competitor. We witnessed the absolute disappearance of an entire, diverse human family: Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo floresiensis, Homo luzonensis, and Homo naledi once formed a sprawling, complex crowd of relatives. They were all navigating the challenges of survival together. Now, we are completely alone. Did we actively destroy their worlds when we marched into Europe and Asia, or did their downfall come from unstable climates, fierce resource competition, or fatal biological vulnerabilities? The true narrative involves massive volcanic winters, unexpected interspecies romances, and children born of mixed ancient heritages. Around 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens first emerged within Africa. Yet, the planet was far from empty. During this identical epoch, Neanderthals were successfully dominating Europe and Western Asia. Denisovans claimed vast territories across Eastern Asia. Homo erectus, a champion of evolutionary longevity, still held ground in parts of Asia. In the dense islands of Southeast Asia, a diminutive, small-brained species known as Homo floresiensis lived for an incredibly long time. Further south in Africa, Homo naledi, possessing a brain no larger than an orange, was deliberately burying its dead deep within complex cave systems. We also find Homo heidelbergensis, a shared evolutionary ancestor that passed away before seeing the rise of its descendants. At several points, 6 or 7 distinct human species walked the Earth at the exact same moment. Most lived and died completely unaware that other types of humans even existed. These vanished relatives were not mindless. Primitive beasts driven purely by basic instinct. Neanderthals carefully buried their dead, used vibrant pigments for body decoration, and crafted intricate jewelry from majestic eagle talons. They mastered the element of fire, successfully hunted massive prehistoric beasts, and deeply cared for their sick and wounded. Fossils from Shanidar Cave in Iraq reveal an elderly Neanderthal who survived for years with a withered arm, a damaged eye, and severe arthritis. He could only survive because a deeply connected community chose to protect and feed him. They were thinking, feeling, emotional people, doing their absolute best in a harsh, unforgiving world. The turning point arrived when Homo sapiens launched a massive migration out of Africa around 70,000 years ago. Our ancestors did not step into a vacant wilderness. They entered lands deeply occupied by other human species for hundreds of thousands of years. Wherever modern humans established a presence, the indigenous populations began to vanish with terrifying speed. Neanderthals disappeared approximately 40,000 years ago, right as Homo sapiens flooded Europe. Homo floresiensis vanished 50,000 years ago. matching the arrival of modern humans in their region. The ancient Homo erectus in Java suffered the exact same sudden fate. While this consistency is striking, it does not mean our ancestors engaged in systematic warfare or mass slaughter. No archaeological evidence of massive ancient battlefields exists. The reality of their extinction was much slower, quiet, and deeply tragic. It was an intense war for vital resources. Homo sapiens possessed a lethal advantage with long-range projectile weapons like throwing spears and early bows. The power to strike a dangerous animal from a safe distance completely transformed the dynamics of hunting. Furthermore, modern humans maintain vast, highly connected social and trade networks. Information regarding animal migrations, edible plants, and weather patterns traveled across immense distances. Local populations were simply overwhelmed by this hyper-efficient competition. They were gradually pushed out of prime hunting grounds into isolated, barren environments. Their numbers dwindled until extinction became completely inevitable. In nature, when two closely related species fight for the exact same ecological niche, one always faces exclusion. The losers do not vanish because they are foolish, but because the rules of survival suddenly change against them. Yet, our interactions with these ancient cousins were not entirely defined by conflict. We also shared moments of profound intimacy. Modern genetic science reveals that if you carry European or Asian ancestry, up to 4% of your DNA belongs to Neanderthals. Other populations across Asia carry significant remnants of Denisovan genetics. This means there were eras where modern humans and Neanderthals lived together, fell in love, and raised children. These hybrid children grew up bridging two entirely different human worlds. Their extinction was not a clean, absolute replacement, but a messy, partial genetic merger. Pieces of those vanished worlds are alive inside your body right now. Neanderthals passed down critical genetic variants that still shape your immune system, your metabolism, and how your body reacts to severe cold. The Denisovans left a similar, miraculous legacy. We discovered this entire species almost exclusively through a single fragment of a pinky bone and a few teeth. Yet, modern people, living in the high altitudes of Tibet, carry a specific Denisovan gene that allows their blood to process oxygen in thin air. A gift from a vanished species is still actively keeping humans alive today. The story of human disappearance is also deeply tied to savage, global climate shifts. Between 70,000 and 12,000 years ago, the planet experienced extreme environmental chaos. Colossal ice ages advanced, massive glaciers buried continents, and global sea levels plunged by over 100 meters. Lush, fertile landscapes transformed into frozen, barren tundras in the span of a few generations. Large, highly adaptable populations of Homo sapiens survived by constantly migrating and innovating new technologies. But for small, highly localized human species, these climate swings proved completely fatal. Neanderthals had survived previous ice ages, but they had never faced an environmental crisis while simultaneously fighting Homo sapiens for food. The accumulation of climate stress, intense competition, and fragmented populations created a perfect storm for total extinction. We must also consider the devastating Toba supervolcano eruption that shook the Earth 74,000 years ago. This cataclysmic event triggered a brutal volcanic winter that choked global sunlight for years, collapsing entire food chains. Genetic data indicates that Homo sapiens nearly perished entirely during this era, crashing into a bottleneck of just a few thousand survivors. Every single human being alive today developed from that tiny group of lucky survivors. If our species barely escaped total erasure, it is easy to see how such events completely decimated more vulnerable populations. The unique evolutionary experiments on isolated islands highlight the sheer diversity of our lost family. The discovery of Homo floresiensis on a remote Indonesian island completely shattered our understanding of human intelligence. These tiny individuals stood only 1 meter tall, yet they successfully crafted complex stone tools to hunt dwarf elephants. They proved that a small brain does not mean a lack of sophisticated capability. Their small stature was the direct result of island dwarfism, where limited resources force large species to shrink over generations. They lived in absolute isolation for hundreds of thousands of years before quietly vanishing into history. In the Philippines, scientists recently found Homo luzonensis, another mysterious, small-bodied human, displaying a strange mix of primitive and modern traits. They are known to us through only a handful of silent bone fragments. The deeper we dig, the more we realize that our ancient family tree was incredibly crowded, diverse, and humbling. What was the single decisive weapon that allowed Homo sapiens to conquer the world while everyone else perished? The answer lies within a profound phenomenon known as behavioral modernity. Between 50,000 and 70,000 years ago, a dramatic shift occurred in how our ancestors operated. Suddenly, the archaeological record explodes with breathtaking cave paintings, delicate figurines, musical instruments, and tailored clothing. Humans stopped merely reacting to nature and began actively reshaping it through symbolic thought. This cognitive revolution was likely sparked by the sudden development of highly complex, recursive language. Our ancestors gained the unique ability to speak of abstract concepts, plan for distant futures, and share intricate strategies. A simpler human language could communicate that a mammoth was nearby. But Homo sapiens could suddenly communicate a highly detailed, collaborative hunting strategy based on years of observation. This linguistic leap allowed thousands of complete strangers to unite under shared myths, beliefs, and massive cooperative networks. Other human species simply did not possess this compounding advantage. Some researchers raise an uncomfortable question regarding whether our expansion involved a slow, decentralized form of genocide. This does not imply a modern, politically coordinated campaign, but a relentless pattern of territorial violence, small-scale raids, and resource theft. Prehistoric life was fundamentally brutal, and conflict over territory was an everyday reality. While violence occurred, the quiet pressures of habitat loss, introduction of foreign diseases, and dropping birth rates were far more devastating. Much like when Europeans brought devastating pathogens to the Americas, modern humans migrating from Africa likely carried deadly diseases. Our cousins possessed absolutely no natural immunity to these new microscopic threats. A population fighting starvation, extreme climate shifts, and novel epidemics stands no chance of survival. The ultimate erasure of our extended human family was not caused by a single event, but by everything hitting them all at once. Homo sapiens did not survive because we were morally superior or physically stronger. We triumphed because we became cognitively networked, allowing our collective knowledge to compound like interest across generations. Our vanished relatives did not fail the test of life. They simply collided with an unprecedented, hyper-efficient force that evolution had never generated before. They deserve to be remembered as full human beings who loved, thought, and maintained rich communities for hundreds of thousands of years. The final, deeply unsettling truth whispered by the fossil record is that our current dominance was never an inevitability. Homo sapiens was merely one random experiment among many variations. We happened to possess the exact right tools, the right language networks, and the right timing when the world rewarded those specific traits. The next time you look at our massive modern cities, our soaring satellites, and our advanced civilizations, remember the Neanderthals. They gazed out at their ancient worlds with the exact same sense of permanence and security. They possessed fire, deep community bonds, and tens of thousands of years of survival wisdom. And yet, today, they are nothing but dust and starlight.